Hey everybody, I'm Will Campbell with the Campbell Group in Royal LePage Atlantic. I apologize for having not put out a video last week. I was away on vacation, but boy did things ever pop off while I was away. And in this video, we're going to talk specifically about the federal budget and how it may impact you when it comes to buying or selling real estate in the upcoming years. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Canadian government released their federal budget for the year of 2022, and this year, Canadian real estate was at the forefront of it. We're gonna talk about the 5 main focal points of the budget when it comes to real estate, whether they're a good or a bad thing, and whether or not they will have a positive or negative effect on the real estate market in Canada, and more specifically here in Nova Scotia. Okay, so first and foremost, we have a ban on foreign buyers. Now, this is a blanket ban. So what this means is that anybody who is not a Canadian citizen cannot buy real estate in Canada for at least 2 years. Sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Now, it's not as bad as it sounds, and I'll tell you why. There are some exceptions to this rule. And when I say some, I mean about 95% of foreign buyers are exempt. Okay, so if you look here, you'll see it does not extend to those who are purchasing a primary residence in Canada, meaning you can be a foreigner from a different country, you can have citizenship there, but as long as you plan on living in Canada primarily, you're allowed to buy property. Anyone who's a primary residence, meaning that you're working towards Canadian citizenship, and you live here, you will also be exempt. You can buy property. And then foreign workers and students are also exempt. So again, if you are from overseas, a foreign country, and you're either working or going to school in Canada, you are also exempt and can buy property in Canada. Now, here in Nova Scotia, foreign investment isn't as big as in some of the other markets across Canada like Toronto and Vancouver. But from what I know about it, it's mostly people that either work or go to school here or that are working towards living here full-time that are buying properties. The people that don't fall into those brackets would be people that are buying just purely on investment or people that are buying vacation properties. And those people are few and far between. Just based off that fact, I doubt that this rule will have an overly large effect on the real estate market, especially not in Nova Scotia. And my only fear about this is that another country may potentially retaliate on us and ban us from buying property in their countries. You know, there are a large percentage of Canadians that own properties in the United States. And now that we've banned US citizens from buying property in Canada, let's just hope that all the snowbirds don't get banned from buying properties in Florida and other southern states with warm weather. Okay, moving down the list. Second is what they're calling the Home Buyer Bill of Rights. Now, this Bill of Rights does a few things, but the main objective of it is to make the real estate transaction more transparent. They want to make sure that home buyers have all the information that they should have in front of them in order to make the most informed decision when it comes to buying a property. But the main thing that they're talking about in here is the banning of blind bidding. Now, if you don't know what blind bidding is what has always gone in, at least in our local market, where you may submit an offer on a property and you may be competing against 1, 2, 10 other people. You don't know the terms of their offer and they don't know the terms of yours. So you don't know what the other offers are for, you don't know what the other offers have in terms of conditions, you don't know what their closing dates are. All you know is that there is another offer. Now, on the flip side of that would be open bidding, where you can see everything in front of you, right? And you oftentimes will hear people say, oh, well, if I only had known that the bid was for that much, I would have paid that much, which is what everybody says, because you probably wouldn't have, or else you would have written that much to begin with. But a lot of people feel that having an open bidding system will lead to more transparency and less inflated numbers, although open bidding systems have been tried in other places across the world and have done little to curb the climbing rate of home prices. We all know what it's like trying to buy something on eBay, right? You get that in that emotional investment when you're bidding against somebody, and then all of a sudden you end up bidding more than what you wanted to begin with, just because you wanted to win that bid. And my fear is that if we were to go to an open bidding system, that's eventually what would happen. Every house would essentially turn into auction style, and I doubt that, I think in most cases you would end up paying more for the property than what you would in a closed blind bidding system. But we'll see what happens. Third is a crackdown on money laundering. Now, I'm not really going to speak on this. As a real estate agent, I don't really deal with the transferring of money. That's more so lawyers and mortgage brokers. So I'm not really an expert on this. I don't see any money laundering or anything like that throughout my day-to-day job. But let's just assume that there is an issue with money laundering in the real estate market, or else I don't know why the Canadian government would have addressed this. And anything they can do to get rid of that, then great. You know, if there is a lot of money laundering in the current real estate market, then that could cause some inflation in prices. So let's get that out if we can. Fourth, non-flipping and speculation taxes. So this has kind of been going on for a little bit now. And most people are kind of under this impression anyways, but the federal government has basically just made it so that if you buy a property and sell it within a year, you're going to be subject to a tax. The main thing I wanted to talk to here is the assignment sales. So if people don't know what assignment sales are, say I go to buy a new construction home 2 years ago and there's a 10-month completion on it. Well, I'm fairly certain that because there's a real estate boom going on, that whatever price I pay today for it, come 10 months from now, it's going to be worth way more than that. So what I do is I buy it with no intention of ever living in it. And then once I get to the point where it's almost complete, I sell that contract to another buyer, or I assign it to another buyer. That was perfectly legal and there were no repercussions for that. Obviously what that did was it added a ton of people into the market that aren't actually buying properties, they're just doing it to make money. What the Canadian government has done now is you're gonna make that money subject to HST/GST. So it'll make people less likely to do that, which will kind of keep the price of new construction or pre-sale homes down a little bit. It'll allow the builders to make a little bit more money and build houses for cheaper, and it will cause the price of new construction to not increase so rapidly. Next, I don't really have much to talk about on this because it's fairly vague. A boost of new supply, which is what we've all been begging for. That, in my opinion, is the fix to this. It is to build more houses. And the Canadian government has announced that they will be doing that, although they have not announced how they will be doing it. What we do know is that they're going to include $4 billion in incentives over 5 years. Now, again, I don't really have anything else to go off of there. Will Nova Scotia see the bulk of that? I doubt it. Do we need it? Absolutely. But my honest opinion is, don't wait for the government to build the house. The private sector is probably gonna have to do it first. And then last but not least is support for first-time home buyers. So the federal government actually brought out something that's kind of cool. And it's basically a hybrid of the RRSP and the tax-free savings account. And it's specific for first-time home buyers that are under the age of 40. This will allow you to contribute up to $40,000 into this account with a tax rebate that is tax-free for you to save for the down payment on a house. So what do you guys think? Right, these are some pretty big pieces of legislation. A ban on blind bidding, a ban on foreign buyers. Will they be good or will they be bad? Personally, I have no clue, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Leave your thoughts in the comments so that we can have a good discussion on this and figure out whether this is actually good or not for Canadians. But as always, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Do you think this is going to be good or bad for Canadians? Do you think this is government overreach? Should the government just stay out of real estate and leave it to the private sector, or was some intervention needed? And as always, I look forward to chatting with you in the next video. And until that time comes, take care.